75. I am a housewife, a mother, a grandmother, and I worked as a secretary.
Grandpa?
Okay, I'm Tom Moss. I'm Carly's grandfather. I'm 77 years old. I was a military officer. I worked for NASA during the Carter administration where they were doing a lot of green energy stuff. I moved out to California in about 1969 and worked for North American and Boeing and retired probably 10 years ago. And I've worked on all the energy, everything I've ever worked on has been energy. And I am a professional nuclear engineer.
Very cool. So, how did you two meet?
Well, she didn't know me first, I saw her. And I don't know, I was attracted to her. I was kind of shy and bashful. And so my friends, we used to sit in groups. And the groups that I sat in were all the guys and were kind of rowdy. And the young girls, I'm 2 years older than she is. And we would, watch the girls go by. And they knew it. My friends knew I liked her.
High school.
And they picked me up and threw me in her group and says, he wants to date with you, but he's too bashful to ask you, and then walked off and left me.
What did you say?
I said I'd have to ask my mother.
Okay, what else do you want?
Well then what happened after that? Didn't you go off, leave for the army or something?
Well, I was going to college, and I was a junior, my junior year.
In college or high
In
school?
college.
Okay.
And I was going to have to work in a place called Ajo, which is in Arizona. It's a copper mine. And you work 28 days and off 2. And that was going to be a bleak summer. So I came home and I said, we were engaged. I said, we're going to get married. And she says, well, I'm not so sure. And I said, well, you think about it because, I'm going down there and I'm not going to make this, I'm not going to see you very much. And so she decided to get married. And so in 3 days.
So that's how you proposed to her? We're getting married.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't get out on my knees
More or
and with
less.
flowers and that.
That's so sad.
I've been dating her for 3-4 years. I mean, give me a break. And so we got married. I had a good friend, and his mother said, "You're not just going to run off to get married in Las Vegas or anything. You're going to have a wedding." And so she forced me to organize and have a wedding in 3 days. We printed up the things. I hand-delivered all the invitations. You can't believe how much work goes into doing that. But we had a full-blown wedding.
What did you do for your dress?
I never asked that.
That was my problem. It was very difficult.
So did you find one or did you make
Yes.
one?
Yeah, I found one.
You did?
And so we got married, and then we packed up after the wedding and moved to Ajo.
So back then, did they have phones?
Yes, but guess what? Most people had party lines. Do you know what a party line is?
No, what's a party line?
2 people share the same phone line.
2 or 4 or 5
What?
families share one line.
There were rarely private lines. back
Oh,
then.
wow. How did you communicate then?
A long distance, very infrequently, because it's relatively expensive.
Really?
Yeah,
How expensive?
well, enough that you didn't call every day.
Wow. What did you guys do for fun?
Parties,
We had-
usual teenage thing.
We were
School
married and going to
activities.
college, and there were other married couples there. We had some great parties, and I was in a fraternity, so we had a lot of fun.
Ooh, what fraternity?
Delta Chi.
Grandma? Not in a sorority?
Well, she
No, did not go to college.
she was working. She
I was a secretary, right?
Well, yes.
bookkeeper in that stage. She kept books for a steel company, a little steel company.
Very cool. Did you guys listen to any radio programs?
course.
Like what?
They didn't have
Music.
Rush Limbaugh, so I didn't listen.
They didn't have nearly the number of radio stations that you have now that you can enjoy.
Wasn't it more like talk shows then?
There was one radio station in the town of Yuma, and there was, I think, maybe 2 radio stations in Tucson at that time. And if you wanted to listen to the music, you tuned in to the stations that were south of the border. And there were stations in Texas, Del Rio, Texas was one of them, that were really on the Mexican side, that they had powerful enough radio stations that you could hear them all over the Southwest. And you listened to a lot of that.
Really?
And
We
it was in
bought
English.
records,
It was all-
RPM and what were they?
45s.
45s.
Oh yeah, the circle thing that goes around
Yes,
with the big
circle.
trumpet thing.
Yeah, well, not exactly. That was a little
That's a little-
before our time.
Oh,
But same
that's
concept.
yeah, that's still really cool.
All analog.
So what did you guys think when like you saw like the first CD come out?
Oh, it was really quite an invention considering, well, you could have those in your car.
Yeah.
And NASA, when I was at NASA, their computing was done with they had 300 women in a building with Merchant and Monroe calculators, hand calculators, calculating. And you'd run an experiment, put all the data in there and give it to them, and they would crunch it out like that. And if you're lucky, there weren't too many errors. But that was NASA's computer in that day, at that center.
And it took
Late-
the whole room.
And then they got IBM came by and said, gee, we got a new computer for you, but we'll lease it for you for a year. And the head of the guy at the center there said, no, I want to buy it. So he insisted upon buying it. IBM sold him a computer, took the whole floor of a huge building.
Oh my gosh.
All tubes, microtubes, filaments and that sort of stuff, like the old radio tubes. The mean time between failure was like 30 seconds. Something had to be changed.
Yeah. I can't believe that.
It's true.
That's true. And it was outmoded within a year, but NASA Lewis was stuck with that computer for like 5 or 6 years.
So when did you guys get your first computer?
First one I bought was an Acer, and it was
Recommended by your Uncle Ron.
yeah, and it was a dog, but that's beside the point. I don't know, when was it?
At least 20 years ago.
20 years ago. And then I switched to IBM. I liked IBM for a long time.
And now you have a
HP.
and don't you have an
And I
iPad?
also have an iPad.
How do you like that?
It's addictive. I'm going to take those damn mad chickens and kill them.
Are you talking about Angry
Angry
Birds? Do you even know how to play that, or you just watch Chris and Brandon play it?
I've beat it all.
No, you haven't. I swear to God. Really? Oh my gosh. Grandma, do you use iPad often?
No,
Not really.
no,
She
really.
doesn't have enough time doing things for grandchildren.
Yes. Great grandma. Okay, next question. What are like the changes that you've seen over there? Like major changes that you've seen over the years?
My father delivered milk with a horse-drawn truck, or a horse-drawn cart. The first airplane I ever flew on, I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and it was a German-made tri-motor that had taken up this sort of stuff. And then you come with the jets and things like that. It's been a fantastic advancement of technology. And now all that technology, if you really want to get serious about it, most of it came from the military weapon systems. All the little iPhones you have and all this sort of stuff, and the efficient electronics and that's because the military needed that. They had to have more computing in the nose of a fighter plane with less weight to be more competitive. And all that is really done with that technology.
The phones that you use today, The materials, particularly like your ski clothing, all that stuff came out of military applications.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep, everything you use today is because of the military.
The F-4 fighter, as an example, had like 10 racks of vacuum tubes for their computer and fire control system. And every like 3 months, those racks got smaller and more efficient. And eventually, that whole thing in the front of that airplane was on one little board. Okay, and that's what you're using in a lot of the stuff that you're playing around with now. You think that's great. Well, most of that stuff originally came from the military program.
Wow. Yeah, Grandma, I remember when you had that huge bulky phone with like that red, white, and blue.
I like that phone.
I like that. I called it the brick.
Yeah.
It was better fidelity than what we have on our cell phones right now.
Right.
Why?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
The fidelity on the cell phones is nowhere near what the hard line old phones were.
Is it hard to use your cell phones
No,
today?
No, but I use it as a phone. I mean, my God, the one I have it can take pictures and do all kinds of things. All I want is a phone.
Yeah. What do you think about the generation that uses like phones for everything?
I offer you one thing. At some point in the world, if you ever start, this is something that nobody's really concerned with, but with all the microwaves that we're beaming at each other all around the thing, something is good. That's going to have some effect on people in the womb or whatever, and we're not really paying any attention to that. So to hold a cell phone up to your ear 24/7 is not good for your brain. I don't think. Not because of the sound or anything like that, but just the microwaves. You've got a radio transmitter right next to your brain. And they say, oh no, it's not a problem, not a problem. Well, we don't know what 50 years might do. If there's a problem 50 years from now, we might become extinct.
Yeah, that's scary. I remember reading an article about it being like there was some smartphone, it was like a BlackBerry that was like led to causing cancer or something like that.
Well, they don't really have any facts to back that up, that there's a cause and effect of cancer yet. But it's the heavy bombardment over a long period of time. You know, we've had these things for maybe 5 years or something, maybe 10 years. But whatever, the longer it goes, like 50 years, it could be a problem.
Yeah. Okay, Grandma. Last question. What do you know now that you wish you knew back then?
I don't think I would want to know what I know now back then. It wouldn't have been as much fun. So, you better ask Grandpa that.
Grandpa?
Oh, everything is new, and I used to like to go into work because it was always something new. And a lot of people said, gee, we don't want to work too fast because there won't be anything to develop in it. I said, that's ridiculous. I said, whatever you have, you can always improve on it. Just keep going.
And the other thing is you never stop learning.
Yeah, you never stop learning.
You never reach a point.
We're still reading books.
Yes.
I can't get it on the iPad. Something about the iPad, I just can't read a book on an iPad.
She got a Kindle. Do you know what a Kindle is?
Yes, I know what a Kindle is.
It's
Same
just,
thing.
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I got it.
I like to be able to thumb through the pages and make notes and this sort of stuff. I guess you could do it.
I'm too technological savvy.
That's true.
Thank you for letting me interview you guys.
Good luck.
Thank you.